I think the main thing that bothers me is like when people say I came out of nowhere.
That's where it's like.
That's where it's like for me, I'm like, all right, y'all just really just talking. I just took everything in stride. I like worked for everything. Like I just kept telling myself, like, obviously people gonna doubt what I'm doing. They're gonna doubt like my dreams and whatever. So I said, I'm just gonna prove it.
With who you are as a player, 12 years in this league, real receipts, how would you go about trying to mark and shut down Patrick?
Well, first of all, I would have wanted it to be in maybe year 7. That's probably better than year 12 or 11, you know?
That's the most real thing ever said on this whole platform.
This is New Ground with Allen Hopkins Jr. Let's go. And Jalil Anibaba.
One of the great players that made a name for himself in Major League Soccer last year and now is a full U.S. men's national team international. Here we are, joining us today, Patrick Agyemang. Patrick, how you living this week?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Thank you for having me. You know, we're still in preseason, pushing through, but almost there. So I'm definitely excited to start the season.
I don't know about almost, but you got a couple more weeks going, so you still got some work to do in the preseason for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to convince myself we're almost there.
So my first question is always about, typically, how did things start for you? What was the beginning? But growing up in an African household, that almost seems like a foregone conclusion that you're going to be a footballer if you like to play sports. But for you, when was the moment where you realized being a professional footballer was not necessarily a dream, but a reality that was close and at your fingertip?
That's a great question. So obviously, like you said, like growing up, I'm in a household that's pretty much all we do is live and dream this sport of, soccer. And my dad introduced us, my mom supported, and my brothers and I, we just kept going. We just kept playing. So obviously in the beginning, we're all like, oh, I'm going to be professional. I'm going to be professional. But I think when it really started to click was when I transferred from Eastern Connecticut State to Rhode Island. That's when I said, all right, at this point, if it don't work out, then I don't know what's going on. Because the whole transition to that position was like, it's something that like, I can't really explain how it happened so swiftly, So once I got to Rhode Island, I kind of locked in. I said, all right, I'm going to go for it now. Really put discipline on everything I did when I got there, and I just shot for it.
I think it's amazing, Patrick. A lot has been made about the fact that you started off in Division III soccer and am now a full U.S. international. And there's a lot of discussion about pathways in the academy, and everyone's journey is their own journey. What did Division III soccer, Division I soccer give you that you've relied upon here to head into what looks to be another outstanding season in Major League Soccer?
Yeah, so for me, when I was in high school, and I was getting, I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna go for school. I had like 2 schools really reach out, and it was a school in Connecticut called St. Joseph's and in Eastern. So for me, it was like Eastern. I did the visit and tour and everything. I said, this is where I want to be. When I got there, I never really had like that structured environment. I just kind of went out and played, and I was always supported with the clubs I played with, so I always give credit to them. But Eastern was more structured in terms of school. I'm away from home, like I'm living on campus and all these things. So it made me like realize, all right, there's levels to this. Like there's real levels, and I think Eastern set me up for success because like that's the first time I really was focused on the tactical side as much as the game. I'm doing video, I'm doing all these things, and it was like new to me, So when I went from there and I got used to it and I started to like really excel from there, that's when my mentality shifted from just like, oh, I just want to be on the pitch to like really devoting myself to the game. And that's when I got to Rhode Island. When I got to Rhode Island, is obviously a step up. Division I is going to be a step up. So for me, it was, all right, now let's show this commitment even more to the game. And I just took everything in stride. I like worked for everything. Like I just kept telling myself, like, obviously people going to doubt what I'm doing. They're going to doubt like my dreams and whatever. So I said, I'm just going to prove it. So every step of the way I went, I just said, like, in my mind, I'm just going to have to prove myself. And I've been doing it since growing up, and I'm going to continue doing it now. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how my mentality has been the whole way. And even when I got the call up, I said, I guess we're doing it again. Just got to prove myself again. And I just want to continue doing that because it helps me stay grounded and it helps me ultimately put my best foot firm.
I mean, your best friend stays in front, my bro. And one of the things, that I love about you, what I love about you, and I told you this last year when covering your games, you're extremely humble, but you also have that vein where it's like anybody could get this smoke.
He got the dog in him. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
My question is, though, does it bother you when people talk about how unique your pathway is? Because it bothers me, and I can explain why later.
I actually want to hear what you say. For me, it's like I don't really people's opinions just people's opinions. I don't really like take people's opinions really into consideration. I think the main thing that bothers me is like when people say I came out of nowhere.
That's where it's like.
That's where it's like for me. I'm like, all right, y'all just really just talking for real because the people that know where I came from and everything, like they knew like at some point I was gonna get to some degree of this opportunity as long as I kept going,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I hear like, oh, this guy came out of nowhere, like who's this guy? Da-da-da. Like obviously it's cool. I like to hear that, but don't downplay my like journey. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Facts.
So that's kind of the main thing for me that bothers me. But besides that, like it's cool because I know my journey like encourages a lot of people now. They're like wicked and they're like, oh, if he could do it, then it's possible to do it from wherever I can and started from. So like that's the part I like about it. But when people downplay it, that's when I'm like, all right, come on.
Yeah.
Yep. Julian, what are you gonna add? I'm waiting to hear what you're
saying.
Yeah, I want to hear what you said too. Why does it bother you?
I think you bring up a good point. Where it bothers me is that people want to continuously belittle college soccer, and people oftentimes when they're talking about your ascendancy to the national team, it's this kid came out of nowhere. It's like, well, have you guys been watching then? Did you watch him when he was balling with Charlotte's MLS Next Pro team? Did you watch him when he was playing all of 2024 and carrying that front line? And how many national team players came from college? Until somebody can answer that question to me and then also prove to me that college soccer is obsolete, we are still in a situation where college soccer is producing some of our players that are playing in Champions League, players that are being able to redo their deals in a short amount of time in MLS, people that are taking their January camp runs and just being absolute beasts after them, aka Patrick Agyemang. So here we are.
No, I hear it. I hear it. And I
don't get the slander, to be fair. I think it's just obviously the look of it is like, oh, academy and all these steps, it's the way, but there's multiple pathways for a reason. Like you can't downplay someone's pathway because of where they're right. Like if they make it to a specific place, how can you look down on their pathway? That doesn't make sense at all. So I hear you on that for sure.
Well, and I'll jump in and say you were 12th overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just more people telling on themselves. Right?
Yeah.
More than anything. Yeah, that's how I feel about that as well. So, Patrick, you had a tremendous season. Dean Smith was full of praise, team high 10 goals, 5 assists as well. And I'm curious if you had a moment last season or even with the national team in January camp where you were like, yeah, this fits like a glove. This is me. This is my time. I can do this. And the best is ahead. Is there a moment or more of a feeling you arrived at when you knew that all your hard work, your perseverance, everything you put into it, your family support you mentioned, would put you in this position to be successful?
Yeah. I think it was the second half of the season. I want to say I think it was right after I had an injury. It was literally had an injury around like September. And I think I missed a couple of games or so. And that moment was when like I started to like really appreciate what I've been doing and like appreciate the season I was having. And then I think once I got back from that, that's when like it felt natural. It felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is me. And I think I had like I don't know how many goals I scored around that time, but it just felt good. Like I felt really good on the ball. I felt really good like with my teammates. My teammates trusted in me. And like Dean literally was telling me like, listen, like I want you to go and play. I want you to work hard, but I want when it's time to show what you can do, show what you can do. And when you have the backing of like the team and you have the backing of your coach, it's like, all right, now it's just me. And that's literally like how I enjoy my game. And I think it was the same thing when I went to the national team. Like when I got there, I was nervous, of course, because at the end of the day, it's my first time, you know?
Mhm.
But as we're training and as we're playing and intensity and all these things, I'm like feeling myself like, I'm like, yeah, like I feel like I belong in this environment. And then like Poch is telling us like, listen, like I want you to go in and show yourself and play the way you know you could play. It's like, all right, cool.
Like that's all I want to do.
Mhm.
And like when you get in the game,
You get your first couple touches. You like literally in the first game once I caused that PK, like from there it was like I knew. I think right then and there I knew I was gonna make an impact, whether it's that game or the next. So it's just like the little things for me. I think when I have the full confidence in the coaches and all that, I just go.
Nah, that's fire. That's fire. So what I always want to know are like the little aspects of the game or the experience of navigating being a pro that people see differently that they then use as competitive advantages. So my question is, what do you look for in defenders that tell them like, or that tell you, ooh, I'm gonna cook this dude? Is it like when us defenders we're tired, or maybe our hands on our knees on a corner kick, or they get the first tackle wrong, or whatever have you? But without giving up all your secrets, what are some of the signs?
I was just gonna say, body language. Property lawyers are upset right now.
whether it's body language or nonverbals or whatever. And this isn't going to be a secret that you're giving away because it's a part of the game that
It's an observation.
you can't hide it.
yeah,
Like if you tired, you tired. You can't hide it.
yeah.
100%. That's such a great question you pose. I think for me, like obviously, I like to look for the defender that's the most uneasy on the ball that I play against. So like typically each team has like one of the center backs that love being on the ball.
Yeah.
And for me, I usually like pick on the one that's not.
Just because it's like if I'm pressing you,
Patrick, real quick, do you know before the game?
Of course, we know from the scout, Alan. You know from team
I
scout.
know. I just was making sure.
You throw it all the way back.
Listen. For me, it's obviously we do every team does this, the report, but like
I'm always like very fixated because I gotta see who I'm going against always. So like I'm doing my research as well. Like I'm not going in blank like blind. I'm like, I want you to have the toughest 90 minutes you're gonna play. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm not going just blind. So especially that, and of course when I see heavy legs, it's like, bro, like you asking for it. You asking for me to really like go crazy in this game. Like, you know? So it's just picking my moves. I look for little things though. I do look at things with defenders though. I do. I can't lie to that.
There you go. Keep some of them in your back pocket though.
Is there a lot you can learn to take one more beat on that? And I always love when Jalil gets very inside baseball, if you will. He's very technical and tactical how he sees the game. Is there things you can learn from a defender to make you a better forward? You know what I mean? As you master your craft, are there things that, okay, this guy does this and he does it well, I need a counter on that? Like, how do you go about evolving your game? Because you mentioned the scout, Patrick. Guess what? I know everyone in the Eastern Conference learned your name the hard way last year. Everyone knows your name this year.
Yeah.
So everyone's scouting you now. You're on the scout. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you going to evolve your game? And do you find the game is sort of there from little things like a defender or another attacker or whatever you get the game from?
Yeah.
I like that question because it's definitely something I think about. But the game is about moments. So I know it only takes one chance for me to really break through, and that's when I get it. So it's not me rushing, and I'm not like I try not to get too frustrated when the game's not going my way because I know like literally one ball in behind and I beat the guy. Now I'm in a position where I can score, and that changes the whole dynamic. So it's like I try to really be patient with myself and trust that we'll get chances going forward. Because before, like, I used to really be like, I have to do this right now, I have to do this right now. And I'll just get frustrated. And now I'm out the game just because of that. So it's me trying to read like specific timings, watching defenders and just taking my time and like really like applying myself to the game and then taking that chance. So I try to just be in the game as much as possible. But it is like defenders are good. Like there's some good defenders in this league, you know? So it's now me like you said, taking that next step, and that's me like being able to counteract what they're doing against me and stuff.
Yeah, that's very sound. I think it's a good insight. No, for real.
What you want me to say?
It's very sound.
You sounded like you were about to have but the way you said it. It's sound, but
Not at all. Not at all.
left it out there.
No.
How would you, real quick, Jalil, how would you have, with who you are as a player, 12 years in this league, real receipts, how would you go about trying to mark and shut down Patrick?
Well, first of all, I would have wanted it to be in like maybe like year 7. That's probably better than like year 12 or 11. You know?
That's the most real thing ever said on this whole platform.
That's the first thing. And I mean, not to stifle all of my younger brothers, you know, secrets, but what I would have completely guarded myself from would have been any foot races. So, but the one thing I know about you, Patrick, is you love to use defenders' momentum against you or against them. They get too tight, you can spin them and it's over.
Spin them.
So I would hit you and then give you a little.
Yeah.
So that's more what I would
like.
That would have been my strategy. But I guess the last thing that I would say to answer your question specifically, Alan, the reason why Patrick Agyemang is one of the best forwards in MLS right now is because he always keeps defenders guessing. He's not he's multifaceted. He can run in the channel. His hold up play is excellent. He'll snipe you if you aren't paying attention on the back post. So that defines an excellent 9. You talked about the game being about moments. That is 100% true. And that is what the best 9s and goal scorers and goal manufacturers understand. We also know that African parents, especially West African parents, are immaculate at describing the moments to us in life that are crucial for your development for the next stage and where you're trying to go.
Love it.
So when you talk about growing up in an African household and you talk about, you know, what that has done for your ability to navigate this profession and navigate this life, talk about some of the ways in which your parents would make sure that you are getting certain crucial moments in your life right so that all options are in front of you in life.
I think the main thing was you see them and how hard they worked, right? My parents worked multiple jobs as we grew up, my brothers and I, and they worked multiple jobs, and they're going in early and coming back late. So with that being said, they did not complain to us. They never complained to us. They never like made it like, look what I'm doing for you guys. Like you guys need it. Like it was just like, yeah, I'm doing it for my boys. And us like growing up, we're looking at that and we're like, we want to be able to repay them because of how hard they work without complaining to us. They never looked at us like, oh, you guys are the reason why we're struggling. No. They were like, we want you guys to be great. So we're going to do everything we can to be great for you guys. And on top of that, they're supportive. So the most supportive parents, they try to go to every game I had. Even when they couldn't, they really tried. They realized what my goals were. And even the times where they struggled to do payments and stuff, they still try to find ways. They knew I wanted to be a freshman soccer player. They never like looked down upon it. They always just like go for it. So with that, it's a kind of hunger to give back to them. And that's why I think like when I'm in this profession, like you see me play, like I'm trying to put my stamp everything, because when I see them in that position, it's like I want to repay them. And that's me trying to repay them by my game.
That's incredible. We just mentioned Africa, Ivory Coast International. Wilfried Zaha is your new teammate. Crystal Palace, Man United, Cardiff City, almost 70 goals, 300 plus appearances. How's it been so far? And I know you were away at USMNT January camp, but what are you looking forward to this season playing with the striker? And has there been a moment in training where you're like, oh, okay, we got a real one here. Watch out.
Oh, with Wilf Zaha. Yeah. Yeah, you see the level. Like that's just now we're talking like these are one of the most exciting wingers that played in the Prem.
Right.
Like, you list out wingers and you're gonna put his name in there, you know? So when he's here and he's not like he's here to play. Like he's been showing it in training. Like there's moments where he pick up the ball and it's just like, oh wow, like yeah, this is that level, you know? And I think for me it's cool because now I get to play with someone of that caliber on the wing, and now we could like combine and do all these things and make a madness this year, you know? But I think there was a moment where like we played in the scrimmage and like we combined it for a goal, and I was like, all right.
Like this was our first. I'm sorry.
Bet.
It was, literally.
It was literally our first like game playing together, and then like we connected for a goal, and I was like, okay, I see it. But obviously, there's still things to like counteract each other. Like we still got to build on that and that relationship in the field, but. You just see the level, and it's exciting to see a level like that. Like I've never really seen an attacking player, and like I could learn from him as well, and things he does, movements and all these things. So I think with him being there, it's just gonna get me even better.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, man. I feel like every single attack needs, to be multifaceted. Where if now teams are completely fixated on Zaha, they're gonna have to worry about you. If they're completely worried about you, Zaha can kill him as well. And it's the DNA of any type of attack that can really compete for titles. My question for you before Allen closes out is just basically on legacy, because now you're building it. It's no longer like you are trying to survive in the league and with the national team or get there. It's now, what do you want to make of it? So what do you want to accomplish in 2025? Both individually and collectively with the national team and with Charlotte FC?
Individually, I want to be reliable. I want to be consistent, and I think I just want to be like a leader up front. And obviously, like on my team, I'm like you say, I'm 24 now, and like I feel like I'm more mature than like especially in this professional. So now it's like, I think going forward, like I want to be kind of that guy up front. I want to be like, when people are looking at a team up front, they're like, all right, we know we got to focus on this guy. And I just want to be consistent playing, because at the end of the day, like as long as I'm playing games, that's where I'm going to help impact the team. So I'm trying to like hyperfixate on my recovery, what I eat and all these things. So that's the main thing for me, is just being there, being available, and being able to play. And I think everything else would come from there for sure. In terms of the team, I think top 4 is what we're aiming for. Top 4, we're not looking for anything less than top 4. Last year we were close, but close is not enough. I think we just got to get it at this point.
That's how you know you play for an English manager. Talking about top 4s and the left.
Facts.
I love it. Hey, let everyone know,
Facts.
Dean, he's listening. He is paying attention. Put my guy on.
Facts.
And what else? What else?
And yeah, I think that's the main thing for me. And like obviously, when it comes to my stat line, like I want to be up there. Like that's just facts. I want to be looked at as one of the better 9s in the league, and that's what I'm going for. It's gonna be my goal every year, and it's not going to change at that point.
I have no doubt that another season building on your trajectory is going to put you in a position to be a part of the U.S. men's national team next summer. And we wish you nothing but the best of luck. And Patrick, you are wise beyond your years. There's no such thing as old and young players, only good and bad ones. And you're very, very good. And I just believe that the best is ahead. And there's no doubt that Charlotte has got a real one in the future. And we are looking forward to seeing you continue to grow, continue to do everything you're doing on and off the field. We're going to be looking for you to grow as a leader. We know that's what's next for you, and you're well on your way to being one of the top 9s. in our league. So congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us this week here on New Ground. And we're looking forward to chopping it up again as you continue to play at a high level.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I better come back on this podcast again, though.
It's lit.
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. I'll even go one step further. I'm going to put it out there. You have to speak these things. Let's do this in Austin at the All-Star game when you get that recognition. I'm just throwing it out there. We'll chop it up in Austin. You'll be with us there. But I think some of those accolades and some of those recognitions are what's in front of you. And I know you're going to put yourself in every position to realize those. So that is the amazing Patrick Agyemang. And credit to our wonderful team behind the scenes each and every week who make this show happen. A lot of love and respect to Pete Corey, but of course, every week, New Ground's executive produced by Wayne Edwards and produced by Stefan Geraldo. Our New Ground team of Megan Fontenot, Krista Mann, and our music director, Mason, always awesome. Don't forget, you can listen to previous New Ground episodes on SiriusXM app. For Jalil, I'm Allen. We'll see you next time on New Ground. As always, thanks for listening.